Hello again. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast, part of the Bet Rivers Network. We come to you on this February day, getting ready to do some emails, see what's on your mind, see if we can catch up with the mail. Good time to do it as we obviously go into that in-between period that February always brings. I know there is the romanticism of hearing pitches and catches, etc., and spring training beginning. But as I've talked about in the past, spring training is not anything too exciting, and we still have a ways to go. We will be in the regionals of the NCAA tournament before the baseball season starts, and I'll tell you, the way the weather patterns have been around here, playing baseball up here in late March is going to be an adventure. It really will. Now, as we said, emails, you want to send them to us, you want to get involved, Mike Francesa podcast at gmail.com. Send me an email and we'll try to answer it. We'll get to as many as we can today. And remember, sign up for the Mike Francesa newsletter for your chance to enter our February newsletter contest and win a personalized message from me or a prize pack. Now, if you haven't signed up, go ahead and do it. It's free. Just go to MikeFrancesAPodcast.com and sign up. You'll get the weekly newsletter delivered to your inbox, and away we go. Here we go. Mike Francesa Podcast at gmail.com for the emails. Doug starts us off. Obviously, the attention now shifts predominantly to baseball as we get ready. What kind of season is it going to be? Hey, the Yankees will be expected to win over 90 games and compete for a championship. Are they good enough to win it all? They're good enough to make the postseason. There's a randomness to the postseason. Even if you think you are built for it, nobody knows exactly what that means. I mean, look at the Dodgers last year. It took incredible performances, clutch performances from bit players to win that championship, to pull a victory from a defeat. I mean, that's how special that was in what was some of the great postseason baseball of all time. All right, here we go. Doug, are the Yankees built to win in October? As currently constructed, or are they a regular season team that won't translate in the playoffs? There's no such thing. The bottom line is, this is the way baseball is. You can be built to win a spot in the postseason. The Yankees clearly are built that way. They can be, if everything breaks right and injuries stay away from their door, they can be a 95 win team. If they have injuries and, unanticipated problems, you start chipping the wins away. Will they win 90 games? Yes. Will they win 95 games? Maybe. I think their number right now is 91 and a half. They have a chance to have spectacular starting pitching. They are not a great team, not by any stretch of the imagination. The way I look at this team is, it's the same team that we've seen. They will beat up on bad teams. They will especially pound bad teams at home because of the friendly confines. They will hit a ton of home runs, and they will be shaky at times against good teams. They don't play well against good teams in recent years, and they are going to have to play well against good teams to win a championship, and that's what it comes down to. Baseball, of all the big sports, baseball has the most random playoffs. It has the most predictable regular season, but the most random playoffs. And that means the teams that you count on going in win at a lesser percentage than they do in the other sports. But in the other sports, it's very hard to calculate. You know how hard it is to calculate who's going to make the playoffs in the NFL. You know that teams that were losing this year or at the bottom of divisions this year will turn it around next year. It happens every year. It doesn't work that way in baseball. The same teams get there, but we crown different champions every year. Now, the Yankees have plenty. They are earmarked to be a 93 win team right now. Will they win it all in the postseason? It'll be the same thing we've had in the past. Can they play clutch, winning, smart, tough, good baseball when they need it? We'll see. That's the only answer I can give you. I can give you the answer they'll make the playoffs. I can't give you the answer they'll win a championship, and I don't think they. I right now I wouldn't be overly confident that they'll be anything more than they've been in recent years. I just don't see anything that would make me think like, oh, this team is going to be special. I don't see that. Wilson, if the Mets hover around 500, do you pivot to selling, or does Cohen's aggressiveness force them to buy anyway? I don't think selling is in any part of the Mets' future plans, current plans, any kind of plans. Okay. The Mets are trying to win, but Stern's plan is a little different than maybe even the owners. Now, you're going to go into the season. The Lindor injury doesn't bother me that much. I don't think it's that long. Um, you're going to go into the season. I think they still need a veteran bat. I think they need someone who can be a solid middle of the lineup RBI guy. You're asking kids to step up, both in terms of pitching and in terms of everyday play. Will they do that? We know they have talent coming out of the minor leagues. Will they step up? Will the young players that you're counting on be there? That will be the story of the first half of the season. And if it's not up to your expectations, then the Mets are gonna have to go moving and dealing in the middle of the season. I think the Mets' plan is to make the playoffs. I think anything short of that, I think that Cole wants the building full. That's why you saw him get aggressive after they lost Tucker. The Mets will be aggressive, and they will be looking all season to be a postseason team. Kevin, which New York team is under the most pressure this year to win a championship and why? I think it's a silly premise. Listen, we haven't been hanging banners in New York in a long time. The Yankees, who have always been the standard, have gone into one of the great droughts of their history as far as championships go. I mean, one championship in the last 20 years. I mean, that's not Yankee like in any way. Is that Yankee like? And I always say it, we would have a very different configuration in terms of leadership, in terms of everything, if they had not won in '09. '09 saved a lot of careers, changed a lot of careers, enabled a lot of careers. There's no question about that. Now, all these teams feel pressure. The Mets, clearly with their owner making promises, being aggressive, spending money, wants to win. The Yankees want to win, but there is a satisfaction inside the Yankees that their fans don't feel. When the Yankees win 95 games and get to the World Series and lose, there is not chaos or, abject failure in the halls of the Yankee offices. There's not. They're making money despite what they tell you. Their franchise is worth a complete fortune. A fortune. Okay. If you hear these other franchises being worth 7 and 8, the Yankees are worth 10. That's billion. Okay. And again, as I've told you on numerous occasions, and to me, the subject is not only moot, it's boring. The Yankee revenues are enormous. It's just which pocket they put it in, that's all. Um, is there pressure on the football teams? Yes, there's pressure on them to be good. Now, is there pressure immediately on those teams? No, because there has to be realism involved where they're not gonna make the quantum leap. Although, I think there's gonna be a lot of quiet optimism and real hope for Harbaugh. You know, Harbaugh's first year with the Ravens, if you remember, he won 11 games, he won a wild card, he won a couple of playoff games, and lost the AFC title game in Pittsburgh in a fairly close game. I think it was 23-16, 23-14, I think, something like that. Um, so there is a feeling, and I think a hope, a quiet hope. They'll go in talking that they want improvement. They want to take a quantum leap with their young players, with their young quarterback, with their new, you know, really Hall of Fame coach. But deep down inside, they think there's a chance they could really have a big jump this year, make the playoffs this year. I do not think that's out of the question at all, and I do think they'll have a winning team this year. Um, the Knicks, hey, of course they want a championship. All these teams want championships. They all hunger for championships. They all hunger for production. We know that. So to judge which one wants it more or which one is feeling more pressure is just fan talk. It's utter nonsense. Okay. Elliot, people are acting like Jackson thought is already a star in this league. Do you agree? He's not a star, but he has star written all over him. Do I think he's going to be a good quarterback? Yes. Do I think there's any chance he's a bust? I think it's close to 0. I saw things out of him this year that you don't see out of rookie quarterbacks. Now, we all know he has to refine certain things, okay? But he did things in the pocket. He did things in the passing game that you don't see rookies do. He had an awareness. He had an ability to make plays. He had a patience and a feel that you don't see from rookie quarterbacks. Do I think he has a chance to be very good? I do. Would I be disappointed if he wasn't? Extremely. I think he's going to be a star. I do. I think he's going to be here a very long time, barring injuries. Now we all know that we can't predict those. But barring that, and I understand it's an issue because you're not going to take his running game away from him because it's a weapon right now. Quarterbacks in the NFL for the offense to be ultra efficient, the quarterback needs to be able to move and to run. And he can do that. He just has to do it. He has to learn that you go out of bounds in the first quarter when you got 9 and you needed 10. In the fourth quarter, you go get the 10. You go get the first down. You go put your head in and make the play, but you don't do that in the first quarter. And you don't try to gain that extra 3 yards, then take a vicious hit along the sideline. Get out of bounds. Take your 7 and get out of bounds. You don't have to get 9 if it's going to mean taking a hit. And that's what he has to learn. As far as him running, he can run fine. He just has to protect himself a little better at the point of attack. That's all. And that will come with a little maturity. But yes, I think he's going to be very good. Andy, must-win game, Brady or Mahomes as your quarterback? That's the first time I've been asked that question. So, gun to my head, game I have to win. Do I want Mahomes or do I want Brady? I want Mahomes. Now, I'm not telling you that Mahomes is better than Brady because that's going to be based on accomplishment. And Mahomes has not yet accomplished what Tom has accomplished. But if I'm going to use a requisite set of skills to try to win a particular game against a defense that's right now unknown, I'm going to use Mahomes' skill set to win. They both can make any throw. Actually, Mahomes can make some throws that Brady can't make. Number one, he can also make some runs and have an escape level that Brady doesn't have. Nobody has more inside. A stronger will to win, a stronger will to prepare, better leader. Nobody has better qualities like that than Brady does. Nobody. But if you're going to give me all the different points on I'm going to use to attack the other team, if it was for my life, I would take Mahomes because he's a more versatile talent and he's got some skills that Brady doesn't have. Danny, Don Mattingly keeps talking, keeps taking bench coach jobs. I mean, he wants to work. Why hasn't he been offered a managerial role? I think it's a fair question. I think there's a couple of reasons. One is body of work as a manager is not very productive because of where he managed. Number two, I think they look at him as being old school. And number three, I don't think they feel he's a disciplinarian, but I think he's more of one than people think. I think if you gave him, like if something happened to Boone in season, I think Mattingly would be a perfect guy to step in for the Yankees. He would be ultra popular with the fan base. He would demand and command incredible love and respect from the players immediately because everybody loves Mattingly. Listen, I've seen this in person many times. Mattingly is more popular than Jeter with the Yankee fans. Now he hasn't been as productive, and he hasn't won like Jeter won. But in my lifetime, I'd say he's the second most popular Yankee that I've ever seen. The most popular was Mantle. It's not even Mantle is the most popular player I've ever seen. Now, first of all, I loved him, but secondly, everybody loved him. Everybody worshipped him. They didn't even love him; they worshipped him. I've never seen anything like that. Mattingly comes close. He's incredibly popular with Yankee fans. But I think the things I gave you is why he winds up being a bench coach. I think Donnie is I think everyone has great respect for Don Mattingly. As a player, as a person. And I think in the right spot he'd be good, but I see what teams think is lacking, but I don't think it is. So I do think he'd be a better manager than people think. Bobby, don't miss Radio Row ? I guess that means do you miss Radio Row, or you don't miss Radio Row? I'm not sure if this was a statement or this was a question, but whatever it was, the answer is no. It is no longer like it was. When you're there at the beginning, and a couple times I saw these features on how Radio Row started, and it always starts the same way. That there's a picture of Dog and myself, and we went and started it, and blah blah. And most of that's true. Now, The bottom line is, it was perfect for us in the beginning because of the esteem and the way FN was regarded in the industry. We were the gold standard. So everybody wanted to be near us, wanted to be like us, wanted to have the same guests, wanted the same treatment, and everything else. In those days, it was fun. It's got to the point now where it's a convention. It has nothing to do with what it used to have a feel for. Now you have simulcast there all over the place. You have podcasts there all over the place. They It's very big. You have product where sponsors, NFL sponsors are into enormous product placement there. The rights holders are treated much better than the regular rank and file are treated. There It's so big now that you don't get anybody about the game even near the place. So you've lost all those things that it used to have. I mean, yes, it's a different time. I mean, think about it. We would sit down, Dog and I, at an NBA championship game, Knicks, Rockets in the 90s. And at 5 o'clock, we would be courtside, and Pat Riley would be sitting between us talking about that night's game for 45 minutes. That night's game. That doesn't happen anymore because of the bigness of everything, because of where these sports have gone. And in the NFL, it's exploded so much more than that, that half the time the announcers are interviewing other announcers. They're interviewing people that have been built up in the media as personalities. The NFL players come through selling things, and then there's a whole bunch of stupidity and product placement and all different things like that, and it's awful. It's awful. And so Radio Row is not what it once was, but that's what happens. Things evolve, and the bigness of the Super Bowl has killed the Super Bowl for the people who used to love to go to the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl has just gotten to be such an enormous national event and corporate event that the bigness has just swallowed the qualities that made it special. Nothing you can do about it. It happens. But we were there when it was great. And we had 10 or 15 years of great stuff with that. And after that, it was gone. Hey, you watch the stuff that goes on around the Super Bowl now. It's so ridiculous. It's almost like a wrestling event. Do I need Now, I like John Bon Jovi. I've known him a very long time. I know John, I know Richie Sambora, I know those guys a very long time. But there's John. Do I need John and some other actor or some other rock and roll guy that turns out the other guy was an actor introing the teams? The team can't come out of the team can't come out of the tunnel without somebody introducing them. Not to say that John's not only I remember when John was a diehard Giant fan when they were winning championships. Now he's a diehard Patriot fan. I don't know when that transformation happened, but I guess when the Giants stopped winning, he decided that he was no longer a diehard Giant fan. But he used to be a Giant fan. He's from New Jersey. What the heck he has to do with this? With the? I understand he was friends with Belichick. Belichick's not there. So I mean, that's it's just theater. Everything is you got 14 instead of a Whitney Houston classic national anthem with the backdrop of the Gulf War and the patriotism in the building and all the stuff that went on that day down in Tampa. You have 42 songs. Had 6 different anthems or songs or this or that. It's so overdone. It's so boring and tedious. They've taken an event and taken all the spontaneity and all the purity out of it completely with what they've done to it. It's awful now. Awful. And I listen, I don't care who the halftime act is. I didn't even know who Big Bunny was. Okay. If you had asked me 2 months before the Super Bowl who Big Bunny was, I had no idea. Zero. I had no idea. Right? I wouldn't know one of us. I didn't even know he sang in Spanish. So, what the heck did I know? The amount of time and effort that was put into that analysis of that halftime show, who cares? In the old days, there was some really good halftime shows. And I got to see the halftime show of all halftime shows live. So when Michael Jackson did the halftime show, they were cheering into the middle of the 3rd quarter. It was so good. Now, again, the game is so wrapped in, can I sell this minute? Can I sell this? Can I sell that? Can I sell this? Can I sell that? Okay. Can I send this message? Can I send that message? Can I send this political message? Can I send this message to this group and this message to that group and this message to that group? And let's have an anthem for these people. Let's have this for these people and this for these people. And it's a joke. It's a football game. Be a football game. Okay? That's what it is. But it's not anymore. At least the NFC and the AFC title games are still football games. All right, they throw a little entertainment in there, but it's still a football game. And that's why you can appreciate those when you can't appreciate anything about the Super Bowl. At least I can't. I want to go to a Super Bowl now if they paid me. And I'll tell you, if you're in the building, it's the worst football experience ever. First of all, I've already told you that, I can't watch a football game when I don't have replay. Secondly, it feels like you don't play 3 plays in a row without a break. It feels like you're breaking every 2 or 3 plays in the Super Bowl. It's just so tedious. Okay, you gotta be in your seat 3 hours or 2.5 hours before the game starts. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. Really nowhere to go in those buildings unless you wanna go buy a $42, drink. Um, and the bottom line is, it's 10 o'clock before you get out of there, and you feel like you've been there a month. And when you get a stinker, you're like, "Why didn't I stay home?" And then the biggest thing is the competition is, and you wanna talk about excess. Here's the competition. What number is my private jet getting out after the game? The first 30, 20 or 30 are either billionaires or senators, congressmen, guys with political government clout, and guys who, they're chairmen of the board or those guys are getting the first 20, 30 slots. So they're gone. And then you're into, and listen, I mean, we many times took a private jet because we didn't want to wait till Monday and go home Monday night. We many times would pack up a jet and go. All right, I flew this jet for 20 years. So, I mean, I know a lot of guys, Dalton, I think, still flies it now. Still flies, that way now. We flew that way always from the Super Bowl, but we'd have to wait an hour to get to get out. You'd be in line for an hour, hour and a half. There's 900 or 1,000 jets that have to get out after the game. That's the biggest thing in the world is to see how fast people rush to the airport, the private airport, to get and the jets are lined up boop, 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 to see how they're gonna get out after the game. It is just it's an excess competition is what it is. But even if you're home now, you feel that. It's just like you're sitting there. I was sitting there at about quarter after 6, and I'm looking at my watch, and it's like quarter to 7 before the game ever kicks. I'm like, "What are they doing?" Nothing interesting. Alright, the anthem and then a flyover. That's 20 seconds. I mean, and they have a guy already, just to show you what goes on here. You have a guy now already whose job next year is the production of that game, and he is already in place working on next year's game. I'm not kidding. That's his full-time job for the whole next year. He is already in place for that game next year, which is gonna be on ESPN, I believe, for the first time. I'm pretty sure that's the case. I'm pretty sure it's next year that they get the game for the first time. But it just shows you what goes on with this thing. So with that, you lose a lot of what made it special. And Radio Row is a big part of that. So, I mean, the appeal of going there is not the same anymore. It's very, very different. And it changed while we were still doing it, as a matter of fact. And I think Dog's still there every year. I think he still goes. Um, Rick, how many more seasons do Boone and Cashman get without winning? If you haven't figured out by now that they're pretty much not going anywhere, they're not going to win 75 games one year. It's not going to happen. Could they possibly have a year where they don't make the playoffs? Yeah, 1 out of 10. They're going to make the playoffs. Last year, they were a dreadful team for about 6 weeks. Now, what happened was their last 30 games were so soft that you knew they were going to get hot and win a lot of them. They won basically all of them and wound up with 95 wins. 94 or 95, whatever they wound up with last year. It was one or the other. They went over the last day of the season on their number. So, I know because I had middled the number. Because the number moved a lot last year with the injuries, so I took them under 94.5 or under 95 and whatever the number wound up being, it went over. It ruins my middle because I lost it the last day of the season. Because I had them over 89.5. That was the low number I saw. And I had a middle between 89.5 and either 93.5 or 94.5, whatever it was. And they wound up getting the win the last day of the season to beat me, to cancel the middle bet. Where they hit both sides. So, because they won so many, and that there was a point where they were not going over no matter what, and then they wound up winning. If you look, I bet you they won like 17 of the last 20 last year. They might have been better than that. They beat bad teams. They will do that again. They will win in the 90s. They will go to the playoffs, and Boone and Cashman are going nowhere. If you haven't figured that out yet, they're not going anywhere. They're happy with this existence. They would like to win a championship every now and then, but Hal is only going to react if he sees empty seats, empty luxury boxes, or people not buying signage on the building. Unless that happens, he's not going to get upset. It's not going to be not winning a championship that upset him. It would be those other things that upsets him. Because they're pretty much a machine the way they do it. They do it every year. They make the playoffs, right? What year don't they make the playoffs? They make the playoffs. Some years they go out in the first round. Some years they go out in the second round. Some years they go out in the World Series. I mean, some bottom liners or the ALCS. Hey, what they haven't done is they haven't won championships in the last 20 years. But Boone and Cashman aren't going anywhere, at least not in the immediate future, unless something, unfortunate, you know, befalls one of them, which we sure hope doesn't happen. One of them breaks their leg or something. So the bottom line is they're not going anywhere. I know Yankee fans want a change. Not going to get one because their revenues are astronomical and they're winning in the 90s every year. They're in the playoffs. They have a chance to win a championship. And as long as they have a chance to win a championship, ownership is fine. Despite, if you don't get that message, now this is going to be a very different offseason as we head towards the fall because we're looking at a labor war. The collective bargaining agreement is ending. The owners, especially in the smaller markets, want a hard cap. I do not think they'll get one. So this is going to be a little bit of an Armageddon, maybe even to the point of it being shut down for a while. We'll see how that unfolds. Maybe we'll get pleasantly surprised and baseball won't get interrupted. That would be nice. I believe we have a very interesting guest for tomorrow's podcast, so look for that to take into the weekend. We'll see you tomorrow.